Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about silver-backed films. Now, of course, you've probably seen a couple of our other videos where we've used some of those, but we've got a couple of requests that have wanted to know exactly how to deal with silver-backed films, what to look for, things like that, how to use them, because they are a little bit different animal. And so we wanted to shoot a quick little video on showing a few things to look at and to how to read the film, so then that way you kind of know what you're looking for and what all you need to do whenever you do get a silverback film. So let's take a look at it and let's get started. All right, so what we've got here is we have one of our silverback films. Now this is going to be the SAD 758. Now again, there's a lot of other different ones, but as you can clearly see, this is a really amazing pattern. It's our copper illusion pattern, but the thing about it is that it does have this silver backing on it. And so this is definitely going to be something that whenever you see this, you're definitely going to want to stop and pretty much do some testing on it to make sure that you get everything dialed in. So then that way you get everything laid out the way that it needs to. So whenever you put it in the water, you know exactly the parameters that you need to set with it. So let's go ahead, and at this point right here with the silverback film, we're definitely going to know which side goes up, which side goes down, because of course this side is going to be the water side, and then the silverback film here, this silver part right here, is going to be the activator side. So of course whenever we dip the part in, it comes out looking like this. Now, a couple of things to look at for sure is that, of course, there is almost no color that's showing through. Even on these yellow pieces of tape, there's no yellow coming through. You cannot see my hand whatsoever underneath here. So that's going to be something that you're definitely going to have to remember whenever you are doing your base coats, because especially with this film, you will not see the base coat hardly at all. Now again, whenever it does stretch, you might see it, but with something like this, you're not really going to see it too much. So let's go ahead, let's tape it up, let's throw it in the water and show you a few things on doing a standard film versus the silverback film, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now that we've got everything laid out, of course, we've just thrown down some tape here just to help it prevent it from curling up on the edges. Now again, if your film is not doing that, then of course you don't have to use the tape. But in this case, it does make it a little bit easier to handle. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this out. I do like using the tape because the next time that I go to pick this film up, which may be in a day or a week or a month, I already have a great line to start with on the piece of tape there, so it helps it along. So if you are using the tape, that is definitely really nice to have, but of course it's not necessary. And so in this case, we'll just go ahead and cut a few squares here, mainly just to check it out, test it, and then see where we're at with this. So of course, as you probably already know, whenever we're laying the film down, most of the film is going to be at 80 to 90 degrees on the water, and then you're also going to be at about a 1 minute soak time. So let's go ahead and start with that setting right there and see what kind of results that we get. Just like normal, we're going to go ahead, pull this in, get everything as tight as we can on it, because of course we want as little to no stretch. Now again, I've got the timer already set. You can see we're sitting here at, I put it at 1:05, but anywhere between a minute, that's still going to be perfectly fine. 1:05, just fine. So of course we got about 30 seconds left here. So on these, we're just going to spray them by hand, just like everybody else would. So that way everything is going to be the exact same as what most viewers are going to be seeing here. So of course the activator that we're using is going to be the Liquid Concepts activator. So nothing's going to be changed with that throughout the whole process. But the main thing that we're going to focus on is how the film looks and how it dips, and also seeing if we have enough activator on the actual film itself. So we've got 1:05 on the water, so we'll go ahead and spray this. So now that we've sprayed it, if you take a look really closely here, you can clearly see we've got a lot of hazy areas. It's not fully activated from just a normal pass. Now again, we already know that, but let's also confirm that. So we've got our glove, and we will go ahead and go in. And so once we start going in, what you're going to notice is that it's going to wrinkle just like that. And you can see all those wrinkles. So that right there in itself is telling me that, of course, it is either not enough activator or it has not sat long enough on the water. And so we'll take that and look at it, and you can clearly see that we have a lot of breaking and a lot of tearing all in through here. And so in this case like this, it stretched fairly well, but if we was able to actually rinse this and this part was going, we'd probably be getting a lot of pinholes and dots in it because it still wasn't fully activated. So now let's go ahead and let's take it and move the soak time up. All right, so now that we've got our film on the water again, that test went okay, but of course we still had a little bit of tearing and a little bit of ripping on the film. Now, again, that could have been a couple of things. Could have been either underactivated or not enough soak time. So what we ended up doing is we're gonna change one variable. We're going to increase the soak time. We have 1:30 this time. And so we're gonna spray the same amount of activator as close as we can to this. So then that way we get the same effect, but hopefully it should wrap around a little bit better. As well as, if you did notice, we had a little bit lighter area on the activation. So I do think I was a little bit under activated also as well, but we're gonna try to keep everything as simple as possible. We'll change one variable and go from there. So let's go ahead. We're gonna wait for this. We got about 30 seconds left on this, and then we'll grab the activator and of course shoot it again at 1:30 and see what happens and see if it wraps any better. All right, so we've got 1:30 on the water. Now again, you can see it does look a little bit more flatter, but you also cannot go off of that on every single film. So we'll go ahead, we'll set our gun up again. We'll do one pass across it. Now, that did definitely look a lot better, but you can still clearly see that I've got some wrinkles that are starting right in here, but I've also still got a little bit underactivated. And so I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can definitely see it in the light. It's still a little bit lighter. So let's check it again. We'll do the same thing and we'll see if we get some wrinkles as we're starting down into the water. And so as we start, we're getting a little bit of wrinkling, but not quite as bad. And you can see that it does cover and it does pull a lot better. And so we still have those wrinkles in through there, but overall, it's definitely starting to come out a lot better. And so with this, we do have a lot better coverage all the way through there, all the way through there. But again, I do think that we can get it a little bit better. So let's go ahead, let's bump it up to maybe a little bit more activator this time instead of the soak time and see if we can get this dialed in. So let's go to number 3 dip and see how that works. All right, so now of course we'll lay this down again, start our 1:30 timer, and then of course pull everything in, get everything as contained as possible so that way we have minimal stretch. Now again, on something like this, I am going to go a little bit slower on the activator. So that way I apply more activator and we're gonna see if that helps. Now I do think that that's gonna glass it out, but I don't know that it's going to be enough soak time for it to fully wrap around the way that we want it to. But we're gonna test it out, we're gonna see what happens. All right, so we've got 1:30 on the water. Now let's go ahead and go with a slower amount of the activator and see what happens. So we'll go a little bit slower here. Now, we do have a little bit more glassed out look, which is what we're looking for, but also too, it's still maybe not fully glassed out enough. Now, again, we're gonna come back, we're gonna test this and see what happens with this as well. And so we'll take this and see if we have any of those wrinkles. Now again, I'm still seeing a little bit of the wrinkles, not a lot right in through there, but you can definitely still see it. And you'll see as I go into here, I've got a little bit, but overall, this could actually be a pretty good dip. And so bringing it back out, we've got full coverage all the way around the hands. Of course, this one was already blown out, but we do have a really good coverage. Now, if I know that I've already got everything glassed out on the water and everything looked really good with that extra amount of activator that I had to add to it, then we might want to go ahead and start bumping up that soak time. So let's see what happens whenever we add a little bit extra activator, just like what we did here, with about a 2-minute soak time, or even maybe a 2-minute and 15-second soak time. And I think that's where we're going to be really getting this film dialed in and really set good. All right, so for the final test, we'll go ahead, lay this down. We'll start our timer at 2 minutes, 15 seconds. And again, we're gonna pull everything in, get it nice and tight, make sure that we have little to no stretch across the entire film. Set those in like that. And now, of course, we're going to wait. All right, so now that we've got 2 minutes, 15 seconds on the water, let's go ahead and spray this a little bit slower, just like what we talked about before, and see if we don't get any better results. Now, this definitely looks the best. We don't have any of the wrinkles of what we were seeing before in like these edges or anything like that, as well as we've got a really good clarity on the overall look of the sheen of the reflection. So that's going to be really well. So of course the test, we're going to take this same thing and we'll dip it down and see what happens. So of course we're watching right in here to see if we have any of those wrinkles. And so looking at it now, we have little to no wrinkles. We have a really good stretch going all the way down, thumbs going down into it, and of course we have little to no wrinkles whatsoever. Going down even further, I'm definitely going to say that was probably one of the best hits, especially going down through here. We still have a really good color quality all the way around. The clarity looks really good, and of course inevitably it's going to stretch and you're going to get a lighter area from right here where we start to right here where we finish. But we want it to be gradual and not intermittent or have big chunks of color and then other chunks that are not. And so this looks really good to me. I think this is definitely dialed in, and this is something to where now whenever we dip our first piece, we know the settings that we need to use for this silver-backed film to make sure that we get a good dip just like that, instead of just like what we had on the first dip using the standard settings. So as you can clearly tell, we've got this film dialed in to where now anything that we're ready to dip, we're ready to go, and it's going to come out looking really good. Now, of course, as you probably already know, every film is a little bit different. Some films may still go back to the 60-second soak time. Other films, like this one in particular, it may need to go up to that 2-minute or even 2-minute 15 soak time to get the right settings. But hopefully this video will kind of clearly show you what you need to look for and how to get that thing dialed in, so then that way you get a good dip whenever you're doing it the first time on your part, instead of just using the same settings and thinking that it's going to work, and then in reality you're back redoing your part again. So of course, if you like the video, definitely give us a thumbs up. We'd love to have that, as well as hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you subscribe for any of our videos that we post from here on out. If you haven't already, definitely check out the website. It has everything that you need for the Hydrographics, including the film that we had here, along with thousands of other films, including the equipment, the training, and any of your supplies that you might need, from paints to activator to clear coat or anything like that. It's all there on the website. There's going to be links in the description below, so that way you can check those out for yourself. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.